Hey, this is Notser, and we're looking at a user replay in the Tier 9 American cruiser, Baltimore. The user is Deadpan Scumbag. Okay. And this is an interesting match because, first of all, Fim is in it, so she's a great aircraft carrier commander to have on your team, and she's in the Tier 9 Essex. More known for the Japanese, but I'm sure she's very good at the Americans as well. And we've got our hero, who's in the Baltimore, and the Baltimore is a great AA platform. Unfortunately, he doesn't have defensive fire, and I'm sure it was a case of, well, I would really like to have defensive fire when I know there's an aircraft carrier, but if I never get an aircraft carrier, it's a wasted ability. So you're in this awkward position where you've got hydroacoustic, but the enemy has an aircraft carrier. So we're going to see how well this works out. I've been told it's a very interesting game, so let's check it out. Now, it looks like only 2 friendlies have headed over towards Sea Point. Thankfully, the friendly Shimakaze captured the base, hid in smoke, and it looks like an enemy destroyer is on approach at Kagero. He's got hydroacoustic, he's got radar, so he can detect this guy if he chooses to try and hide in his own smoke. We don't want that, do we? We want this guy to burn with HE. And so far it looks pretty good, right? We got enemy Amagi, which was the primary target of the Shimakaze. Doesn't look like the torpedoes are going to ever make contact with him. Deadpan does decide to use hydroacoustic, and the reason Deadpan does this is he expects that the broadside, and here it is, he expects the broadside destroyer to send torpedoes. And I think we got a case where this DD just did not expect to run into the cruiser. I don't know what his plan was. If he ran into the smoke, surely he expects radar. Worst case scenario, radar is going to detect him in smoke. Best case scenario, he's got hydroacoustic who can detect him and detect the torpedoes, which harmlessly pass by. So, still the Amagi, still at 80% life. And it looks like most of the enemy is choosing to go on the A flank. Okay, well, Deadpan's team gets B and C. And we do have an enemy aircraft on approach. Now, there's already been one aircraft that has been basically shot down. And somehow Deadpan was able to avoid all of the dive bomber torpedoes. All of the dive bomber bombs from making contact with them without defensive fire. Not the case for the Shimakaze, of course, but Deadpan didn't take any damage, and he's able to fire at the enemy Amagi. Friendly Shimakaze is going to try and smoke out, send all his torpedoes, and I get where he's coming from, sending all those torpedoes, but 15 Japanese torpedoes in the water is the equivalent of like 300,000 damage if they all make contact or something ridiculous. That's too much. I don't know that 15 torpedoes in the water is appropriate for a single target. Best case scenario, you hit the target, but you're still wasting a significant amount of torpedoes. Worst case scenario, you miss every single torpedo, and then you have to wait on that 2-minute reload cycle for those torpedoes. So I don't really like using all 15 most of the time, and especially when it's only one target, it's basically like a waste. But what do we have here? The enemy Essex, the enemy aircraft carrier, is pushing towards Sea Point. So this Amagi and the Essex are on this flank. Now the Amagi is spotted by Fim's aircraft, and Deadpan's able to hit some shots on the target. Still burning, to Deadpan of course. But for whatever reason, this Essex is going to openly sail in front of Deadpan. Of course he's going to fire his guns at him. His only regret is probably that he didn't have AP loaded for a perfectly broadside target. It's just incredibly awkward, and I don't understand. Now, the Essex is able to dodge and benefit from the island, But why would he knowingly push forward into a cruiser? Maybe he feels like the Amagi is going to push forward too, but the Amagi has sustained a ton, and I do mean a ton, of damage from Fim. Her dive bombs, I think they're AP. I'm going to guess they're AP. They do a ton of damage. A ton of damage to battleships. And that's looking pretty good. But the Essex, I mean, the Essex is going to take a ton of damage. Deadpan, just openly fire at this person. Show no mercy. If he shows perfect broadside, maybe even now he could switch to AP, but get this guy lit on fire, just start doing a ton of damage, deny his capture. If he wants to, he can use radar. I mean, this is going to be an easy kill. I don't know what the aircraft carrier sees. Maybe he's so nervous that he's facing against Fim. I mean, she's a well-known North American aircraft carrier commander. She's very good. You're probably not going to be as good as her. So the next best thing is to try and make a play, and he's going to try and capture C point, maybe start a clock for the enemy team. Deadpan's team has sustained heavy losses already, 5 ships dead, and we're not even 9 minutes in the game. It's not good. It's not good at all. But Deadpan has the benefit of an island. The second torpedo squadron is able to land and set 2 fires, so he puts it out. And he's got an enemy Essex sailing directly at him. He's got AP loaded, which he probably felt like he was going to be broad, but, you know, this is what he's left with, and he clearly recognized that, yep, AP's pretty crappy against that nose. So he switches to HE. And this should fully absorb and, you know, do tons of damage to the target, sets him on fire. Enemy torpedo bombers on approach, which isn't good, and he doesn't have defensive fire, so he's going to just take it. And he's just trying to line up his torpedoes. Oh, this isn't good at all. Worst case scenario, he sets some flood, and the flood's going to stick for 10 seconds. Oh my gosh. So we have an Essex player that is just like me. He doesn't get any benefit from dots. He does, however, take a ton of AP on the broadside. He citadels him, takes him out. Great. Great for Deadpan. Enemy Amagi hasn't been able to fire this whole time. He's been behind the island. Really weird exchange, but Fem takes him out with torpedoes, and the Baltimore's still alive. So, it's not looking good for Deadpan and Fem, but they're still alive. So you're telling me I have a chance, right? And it looks like the enemy wants to capture B point. They've all knocked out all the friendlies over by A point. They got to go for that B point. And to do that, they're going to push forward rapidly and do everything they can to screw with this team. And if I was on the enemy team, I would just chill out, sit in the capture, deny that point, and hope that my teammates can detect the enemy Fletcher or the enemy DD that's stopping the capture. They know that something is stopping the capture. How do they know? There's no progress being made. And last known position, we saw an enemy destroyer on the point. I would guess that 1 or maybe 2 destroyers are there. Just, you know, makes sense. Enemy Fletcher's spotted by the aircraft overhead, and friendly Fletcher's in his smoke, so he's firing openly. The enemy Des Moines is not really in position to radar the Fletcher. So it's okay. Fletcher's still in danger. Mortal danger. But he's sort of stalling out the game, which is good. Enemy Montana is pushing forward. Very brazen. And friendly Deadpan. Deadpan is my friend. But he is pushing forward, and he's going to position himself right here. Now, I'm of the mind, if you got radar, use it. You turn on the lights, the roaches are going to run away. But he doesn't choose to get in position to use his radar, which is very intriguing. I just would have assumed that you would use radar, show the enemy DDs, and since they know it's American, because there's no Soviet cruiser in this game, they would be more inclined to reposition themselves. Doesn't really look like that. Instead, we got friendly ships, friendly cruiser, Hindenburg. Boy, you were so dead. Sorry. Friendly ships dying. And this Fletcher is all by himself. He's going to die. And I think he just wants to try and stave off death just a little bit longer. Friendlies are going after the Montana. And the Fletcher is spotted. And he's taken out. Oh, well, he's taken out now. Oh, well, right. Enemy's gonna capture the base. The DDs should just sit there and capture the base. That Des Moines, he moved forward, I believe, to detect for the team. And once he detected, he's gonna move back. Kind of selfish, honestly. But I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to be the least important target. This is like Des Moines level of play. You either see a Baltimore or a Des Moines bow on behind an island, or you see them moving to the back of the map and just firing at will. Because, oh, you're not going to fire at me. I'm the farthest away. Why would you ever fire at me? And truthfully, the Des Moines would probably benefit his team and everyone if they would just use their overwhelming firepower to devastate either the friendly battleship behind Deadpan, Yamato, the Turpids. This enemy Fletcher, unfortunately for him, is visible, and Deadpan has to switch to HE, but then he spots out an Udaloy that's trying to rotate around. It's kind of dangerous, but other than these DDs, no one has a shot on Deadpan. So he's like, I'll fire a little bit. Get a little bit of shots on the enemy Udaloy. Man, great grouping. He only had 3 shells that passed by the island, and all 3 made contact, and they set a fire. And it looks like that fire is sticking for now on the Udaloy. Enemy Fletcher's rotating around. You can tell what the enemy team's trying to do. It looks like they don't want to just have 2 bases. They want 3. But Fim is on top of this with her torpedo bomber. So she's not only keeping the Fletcher spotted, she's going to go after the Fletcher. And he doesn't have any protection. He might have defensive fire on the ship, although he is naked. How many naked Fletchers do we really trust to run with defensive fire? And the friendly battleship gets a big shot right before Fim is able to get torpedoes on the target. The friendly Tirpitz is all alone with no one there beside him. No friends at all, not a single. And he's totally, utterly dead. Yeah, that Udaloy. Get that Udaloy. He's so low. Finally, he uses radar. This is the first time he's used radar the entire game. I could not have that kind of patience. I would have to use mine. I would probably use it over hydroacoustic against the Kagero. That would have been a mistake. Hydroacoustic worked out better because Kagero moved forward for whatever weird reason. But I totally would have used radar to detect the DDs at B and try and disperse them, make them feel like, I don't need to do this. Well, you do. You actually have to do this. But it's cool. It's cool. The enemy pulled back. And it looks like there's not any ships immediately next to the point. The enemy Shimakaze being detected by Fem. Enemy key is very low. The key is, well, defended with AA, but Fem is a tier 9. He's a tier 8. He's very low. If she sends both of her dive bombers, she's gonna take this guy out. So she's dropping 1. And it looks like she missed. She's got another on approach. It's interesting. She did comment that her network is a little off. She probably doesn't feel threatened by a tier 8 battleship with no defensive fire, so she doesn't feel like she has to layer it to defend it. Just need to get that good damaging drop on the key, and he should be knocked out. No, he's still alive. Enemy cruisers are firing on the friendly Yamato, but nobody is spotting the Baltimore. And I would hope that the Udaloi said, Baltimore just uses radar on me. That's another thing about the game. Why can't you communicate to your team when a friendly is under the effect of something? Because what happens is a friendly DD, not knowing that the other DD is being detected, will move into this radar situation and be like, oh my god, I didn't know this was going on. And there's nothing that tells you that they're being spotted other than they're taking damage, and I don't know what this Udaloi's doing. You're going to be dead. You are going to be dead. Alright. Well, we've got an enemy dead. Didn't really do anything for his team. Oh, he sent torpedoes. Oh, okay, well, is Deadpan going to benefit from the torpedo gap? And it does look like one is forming on the first set. And it definitely looks like there's one forming on the second set. You are so lucky, Deadpan. I am so jealous. Friendly Yamato is still behind him. I don't know his health pool. I'm going to guess that he's pretty low. These cruisers have been firing openly for a long time. Fem is able to spot out the enemy Des Moines as he appears to be rounding the corner. And yeah, the Des Moines definitely using his radar. And he gets a nice AP shot on the Des Moines before he's able to go bound. And both targets are firing AP, but one was able to get a broadside, the other one shooting at a bow on target. Des Moines still has AP loaded. Des Moines still has AP loaded. Deadpan switches to HE. Good job, Deadpan. The Des Moines still has AP loaded. The Shimakaze is even getting into this. It's really close. I mean, this game is so close. They've got to get a kill on Deadpan or they lose. And this Des Moines still firing AP on a bow on target. He's doing like 500 per shot. If he would just load HE and fire at the right target or have his AP hit the superstructure, he would kill the target. But he doesn't. Deadpan rams him, and they're going to win the game. I cannot explain why so many people refuse to switch to the correct ammo, but it works out in their favor, and that was an interesting game. A lot of weird choices by the enemy team. There's just no reason for the aircraft carrier to rush towards the Baltimore. There's no reason for the Amagi to take his time and just die. There was no reason for the Des Moines to stick with AP the entire time he was approaching this target. It's really hard to use 203mm AP on the bow of a Baltimore or Des Moines because their nose is sort of poking up. You've got the guns on top of that, and then you have this little tiny superstructure that you can actually hit to do legitimate AP damage, and maybe one shell would make contact, 500 damage. If he would have switched to HE and just hit the nose of the ship, he would have done more than 500, probably killed him, and won the game. But he didn't. And we got to see the team stick together, 3 or 4, scout, capture, take out primary targets. They barely survived. The enemy did everything they could to lose that game, and I hope that you took note of every possible position where aircraft carrier pushing forward for no reason at all, the destroyers not scouting for their team, the fact that a Baltimore was able to capture B point when you have 3 or 4 ship advantage, unacceptable. You see targets rounding the corner and refusing to switch to the correct ammo time. It's difficult to overmatch the bow of cruisers that are heavily armored like the American line. You've got to stick to whatever ammo will do damage in that situation. And if you're the Des Moines, you switch back to AP if he opens up and punish. That's what you do. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you could learn from this, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.